Greetings, dear suckers. My name's Joe Bob, and I'm very peeved. And welcome to Our Darker Purpose. A game which... Shit, how do I even describe this fucking game? Okay. To preface what I'm about to say, I would like to establish that I have played quite a lot of this game. Steam says I've gotten 92% of the achievements, and I see no reason to disbelieve it. And that includes beating the game, beating it 10 times in a row. You can see from here, I've got the power thing, I think, which if you're familiar with this game at all, you'll know that it's acquired from the achievement involving beating the game on hard mode without any of the healing items. You know, the most fucking painful achievement in the whole fucking game, at least by my reckoning. But I'm not saying this to flex. Obviously, you probably have no idea what I'm even talking about. But I say this to establish, I guess you could say, my credentials as someone very, very familiar with this game. To preface what I'm about to say next. This game fucking sucks. This game is awful. Genuinely fucking terrible. I would go as far as to say that this game is the worst game that I have ever finished. And that's what this video is about. Let me just disable all my lessons. They're like permanent. They're like a whole system of permanent upgrades. It's a roguelike game. There's this whole system where you gain these class periods through various means and unlock lessons here via various achievements. And there's also this whole counselor. You get credits for beating various levels with more depending on how well you do. And they're used to both to unlock these lessons and to give them to the counselor for various permanent upgrades. As you can see there, the juice boxes are the healing item, and the chalk fucking sucks. But never mind that. I don't actually remember what the thank you cards is, but that doesn't matter. And there's these various bits of lore that you find. Yeah, some of these are unlocked, I think, by beating the bosses they're related to, while others are acquired by finding these sort of secret areas. It's a whole thing, and each of them has their own little achievement related to them. Which, one thing I will say in this game's defense is that the lore is genuinely kind of interesting. There's well, I'll talk more about it later, but there's some fucking weird shit going on here, like Binding of Isaac level weird, maybe even more so, albeit less of it than Binding of Isaac, because, well, Binding of Isaac's been I was gonna say been around longer, but I mean, this game was actually made a long time ago, but it's gotten but it got like a couple updates and then was completely abandoned, unlike Binding of Isaac. And you know what? Good. Fuck this game. It doesn't deserve to have the kind of legacy Binding of Isaac does. But anyway. Oh yeah, this is the little bit of lore that shows up right at the start of the game. The Awakening. Elderly Mr. L trusted 3 of his students most. Regan was pretty, and all did as she told, for they sought her favor. Goneril was strong, and all did as she told, for they feared her power. The third, Cordy, was so shy that no one had ever heard her say a word. If you'll notice, Cordy is short for Cordelia. Regan, Goneril, Cordelia, Our Darker Purpose. You're starting to see a connection here? And even Mr. L, Mr. Lear. You see? You're starting to see the connection here? Well, you shouldn't, because as far as I know, this game beyond that has very little to do with King Lear. Maybe. Feel free to correct me in the comments if you're an expert of the lore of this game. I certainly am closer to an expert on it than anyone should ever be, but I admit there are things that I don't know. And also, I'm not exactly an expert on King Lear either. I'm far less of an expert on it than I am this game. But anyway. One day, before Cordy's 9th birthday, Mr. L was summoned to the administrator's office. He left the three in control of the room. The charismatic children ran to Regan, the athletic to Goneril, and the remainder drifted to Cordy. Regan's followers cackled as they joked and danced. Goneril's grunted as they sparred. And the quiet ones huddled closer to the corner. And Mr. L never came back. And Cordy saw Goneril and Regan signal each other. And then all the beautiful and powerful children attacked the quiet ones. The bookcases were pulled down, and the desks tossed about, and all the quiet children killed. The victors poured out into the hallways delighted, for the teachers had vanished, and the school was theirs. Except, hidden beneath a fallen bookcase, Cordy was alive, and she had discovered how to speak. Yeah, as you can see, not exactly particularly like the story of King Lear. So yeah, that's all the story that you get from at the start of this game. Delightfully vague. So, enough interesting lore. Let's get into the fucking gameplay, shall we? Okay, here we are in Edgewood. This weird-ass school orphanage thing in the middle of this weird, mysterious wasteland. You like the art direction? I think it's pretty neat, with some, unfortunate caveats, but we'll get into that later. Pretty standard controls, WASD, shoot with arrow keys, use a health pot, well, juice box, but never mind, and with Q and space to roll. Practice your roll, it speeds you up. It also sucks ass. It's... It speeds you up, sure, at the cost of preventing you from shooting. It is not, however, a dodge roll, it is just a roll. It's purely there to justify your movement speed being ass compared to a lot of the enemies. And the projectiles, for that matter. On the plus side, you do have a lot more control over it than you do with most rolls. You can even stop on a dime. So that's neat, but yeah, it's not good. Anyway, here's the combat. As you can see, these projectiles have well, you'll see it better in one of the larger rooms, but these projectiles have jack shit for range. These little piddly little projectiles. You also have less control over their angle than you feel like you probably should have. Oh yay. Badly etched arrow. Your chalk clouds now fire arrows. That's probably a good segue to talk about chalk. It sucks. In theory, it's kind of like your blank from Enter the Gungeon. But, much like your roll, it is a much worse version of that. In basically every respect. Because because it does, you know, it creates these chalk clouds. Let me show you off in the boss. That, you know, they stop projectiles, and even a few things that are more esoteric, like those fire things that chase you. And they will, you know, hang around for a few seconds, blocking shit. And also dealing damage to enemies, and freezing non-boss enemies, because of course bosses have to be immune to all of your useful status effects, because obviously, that's not even this game being ass, that's just a pretty common bit of ass design. The problem is, well, the problems are many-fold. But the obvious problems are, first of all, it takes 5 to 10 business days for the chalk clouds to actually appear, at which point, if you have that much advance warning of an attack that you're trying to block with it, you can probably get out of the way a lot easier. But of course, maybe you're trying to use it to block a succession of attacks. In which case, the fact that the chalk clouds wander around aimlessly is going to fuck you over in that respect. Or maybe you're trying to use it offensively, in which case, good fucking luck with that. There is a lesson which makes it so that it kills off all basic enemies when you use it, but that lesson costs 4 class schedules, which is an obscene amount. So, no. Anyway, this is another mechanic. As well as getting items in this game from shops and mini-bosses, you also get XP from killing enemies, which tells you to level up and gain books, which are your perks. And all of them are varying qualities of puns on various classic works of literature. The importance of finding tokens is, I believe, the importance of being earnest? Or something like that, anyway. One flew under the ranged attack, one flew under the cuckoo's nest. You know, that sort of thing. And each of them give you various useful or less useful upgrades. Much like the various items. This one increased life, and you restore 2% of your health when you pick up an Edgewood Meritorious token. That's the coins in this game. I don't think I've encountered one yet. And, as a free bonus, you get a snide comment from the administrators about you, and how much you suck. As you see, last we saw, she was scrabbling on the floor for pennies, and why get out of the way when you can give up and curl up into a ball? Move speed is useful, but unfortunately all the move speed increases you get, much like the range increases you get, are percentage-based, and thus aren't actually all that good. The range increases are even worse, because you get like, oh, plus 10%. Unfortunately, 110% of jack shit is still jack shit. Anyway. As you can see. Oh yeah, and each of the items has these little things. Not snide comments about how much you suck, like the perks, but just little bits of lore about them, I guess. David B's drawing of an arrow, worthy of 0 Edgewood Meritorious Behavior tokens. Yes. Ah yes, here we go. Here's the tokens. Ow. Whoops. Yeah. And as you can see, there's more than just the other students that are enemies here. You've also got walking hostile desks, obviously. And, you know, chalk drawings shooting chalk projectiles at you, obviously. Oh yeah, and trash cans shooting, I guess, trash at you. I don't know, white projectiles. I assume those are supposed to represent rolled up things. Honestly, the art quality in this game is so inconsistent. The art direction is so... The quality of the art direction in this game is very inconsistent. I mean, did you know that this projectile was supposed to be Cordy's voice, according to the developers of the game? But they just couldn't get it to actually look right, so they just couldn't think of a way to represent that properly. That actually looked decent. Which is bizarre, because I can think of about 12 off the top of my head. But okay. Anyway. This is one of the other ways you can get items. Chess. Raise general anxiety. We think he would be happy to know of his lasting contribution to future student research. Plus 6% dodge. Yeah. One thing I will give them. The, item pop-up actually was exactly long enough for me to rattle off a fairly lengthy bit of lore. Anyway, yeah. The various stats you have. There's damage, attack rate, crit rate, range, move speed, and also dodge and resist. Dodge does what you might expect it to do. Gives you a chance of dodging attacks entirely. It's capped at 75%, because fuck you, that's why. The items that you can get that boost dodge only go up to like 27%, so it's kind of pointless outside of like two scenarios. One is that there's an item which can trade max health for other stats, and that could potentially get you up to max dodge, I think? I don't actually remember if it gives you dodge. I know it gives you resist. But, and the other is that there are certain items which give you max dodge under certain circumstances. Like, for instance, when you're rolling. And this, the cap just genuinely seems to be mainly to fuck you over for having the audacity to ever rely on them for anything. Like, oh, you can't have a proper dodge roll. You've got to have a 25% chance of fucking dying, of fucking getting hit anyway, even though you're dodging through it, and even though you've been preserving an item which is fragile, which means it fucking breaks forever once you take a certain amount of damage. No. Anyway. But what's even more ridiculous is that there is exactly one item I know of that does just straight up make you guaranteed to dodge an attack. The first attack that you get hit by in a room. Sort of like Holy Mantle, although not quite as ridiculous. And also way harder to tell if you still have it, because it gives you zero indication whatsoever until you've taken a hit. And, oh yeah, I know I don't have it now that I've taken damage. But anyway. So yeah, that cap was introduced purely to fuck over those other specific items that don't give you the guaranteed dodge, but instead specifically cap out your dodge. It's dumb. Resist, meanwhile, it's similar to dodge, but it gives you a chance of taking half damage instead. And it also got light radius, which is fucking cancer. But anyway. Yeah, light radius, its whole thing is modified by a couple of items. And it basically just serves to be really fucking annoying in later stages where the light level of the stages drops, and so you can't fucking see shit. Because that's a fun gameplay mechanic, isn't it? Not being able to see shit. So yeah, here's these weird-ass vending machines with their spider legs and claw. Here we got Fragile Bear. As I mentioned, the fragile items breaks after taking 100 damage. See max resist. This one increases your XP, and this is one of the on-use items, which are, you know, you carry that in the E slot down there. Unlike in, say, Binding of Isaac, all of these items, their cooldown is actually time-based. So that you might be like a 10-second cooldown or some such. This one converts your next 3 attacks to flurries of paper. Yeah, the other thing to know about the on-use items is that the vast majority of them suck ass. They are just utter garbage that barely affect you. There's like a handful that are actually really good, and the majority of them are barely worth the mental effort of remembering to use them. couple of them even actively sabotage you in various ways. Anyway, so yeah, here's the report card at the end of the level. Depending on various factors, I assume the time and enemies defeated thing have some effect on that, but the main thing is the damage taken. I don't think I've ever gotten a worse grade due to the other two factors. And this affects absolutely nothing except your credits earned, which, you know, is useful for the meta progression, but currently for me are completely useless. So it just serves to make me feel bad about doing poorly on a level. That's it. Anyway, you get snide comments based on your grade. Happy it survived. The upper levels are hungry. The administrators. Anyway, so once you complete a level, you get this whole thing where you select your next stage. With a little bit of lore here. And also characteristics, which determines... like, this part determines what enemies you face here, which I think was also visually indicated on the little icons. This part determines the general layout of the level, which mainly determines the aesthetics, but also I think the hazards you face. And this little thing in parentheses is a modifier, which is described down here at the bottom. For some fucking reason, though, characteristics, the enemies, the stage, the modifier. But the descriptions are the stage, the enemies, the modifier. Why? Why do you arrange things like this? Why? Because this game was not designed. Anyway. So yeah. The cafeteria. The staircase ahead leads to a kitchen floor. These represent the social center of the house, where students gather together to cook and serve each other food. Because of course Edgewood can't be expected to have actual cafeteria staff. No, they've got to have the students do everything. Whether tossing knives to each other to set the table or balancing a cauldron of boiling stew, they approach their tasks with an anxious energy. Shirkers are encouraged to join in by their peers, as none want to risk time in one of the ice boxes. The kitchens, perhaps more than any other area, represent a triumph for Edgewood's values. Yeah, I'll bet. The steps are littered with rags and scraps of paper, signs of a Brog encampment. Chunks of the banister are missing, and someone's been prying up the nails from the floor. Hunger and desperation have driven these students to hunt in packs with improvised weapons. Stay away from the shadows and you'll be fine. We assure you that these are some of the friendliest students in Edgewood. Yeah, they're not kidding either. And yeah, too small. Due to the unexpected absence of several rooms that were here yesterday, this floor is smaller than expected. And pitch black. The lights are broken on this floor. The Edgewood egalitarian dispensary devices are frightened and providing discounts. Yeah, I think I should probably go here, just to show you, to be a showcase of the light mechanics. As you will notice, I cannot see shit. You might think, oh, it's pitch black, that's to be expected, but actually you would be giving them far too much credit there, because it is nowhere near that consistent. I have been on pitch black floors with a similarly base light radius, and they have been lit like the sun. I have no idea why, but it's very inconsistent. Anyway. So yeah. Because of course, being only able to see a tiny fraction of the stage, in a tiny radius around you, in a fast-paced twin-stick shooter, I guess that's the genre. Whatever, roguelike game, where shit is going to be coming at you from all angles at all times. Well, so kind of, is definitely a fun and rewarding mechanic that completely is not AIDS whatsoever. But lest you think you can just not go to the pitch black stages if they're so ass. You'd think so. You'd really think so. You would be wrong. Just you wait. Once we get into the later stages of the game, there will be no such choices involved. Oh yeah, sometimes they give you these things where you can sacrifice stats for, depending on the book, either tokens or more juice box capacity. It's not worth it. Don't do that. The jungle gym. Weeding is an easy chore. Stop complaining. Anyway, what is certainly worth it is Coins and Punishment. Plus 10% move speed, plus 1 damage for each Edgewood Meritorious token in possession. Your avarice is unbecoming. Yeah, Coins and Punishment, widely regarded as quite possibly the single best perk in the whole game. Well, I say widely regarded. Nothing in this game is widely regarded. No one fucking knows about this game. I'm probably gonna get all of like 2 fucking views on this video. Anyway. So yeah. Oh. The illusion of free choice. I didn't get the manuscript last level, and it just fucking foisted it on me. Okay. Well, it is one of the, No, I was about to say it's one of the half-decent items, but no, it isn't. Anyway, so yeah, you start out at, like, 80 damage, and, well, if you're frugal and very lucky, because how much money you get is extremely random in this game. Oh, alright. Damn. You can... That item can really spiral out of control. If you're able to save your money. Which you usually are, because a lot of the items in this game are... ass. Oh! Yeah, my point exactly. I couldn't have picked a better example, honestly. Edgewood plans. Not marked. The locations of restrooms, both lethal and non-lethal varieties. Identifies the location of the boss. Yeah, it shows you where the boss is on each level. It's a little icon. This is... I mean, this is almost useless. Like, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where that item has ever helped at all. Honestly. But okay, one bad item is to be expected. There are a lot of bad items in this game. Case in point, Sharp Pointy Gift. Adds shots when not moving and under 25% and 10% health. I mean, already, just on the face of it, well, okay. You have to be near death just to get 1 more shot to, like, in theory, double your damage, but in practice, with the fucking spread on these, you're not gonna be hitting both of those shots. But okay. And you have to be basically within the space of a gnat's dick from death in order to get the second extra shot. But okay. But you also have to not be moving. And that, when you're near death, is death. Like, the trouble with it is, not only are you not going to be able to get the benefits very often, because you're going to be moving constantly in this game, outside of rare circumstances, but also, it is going to get you killed. You are going to unconsciously try to get use out of it, or consciously even, and it is going to get you killed. I don't... for some reason... And it's like, why? Why are these shots only when you're not moving? Well, it's very simple. Literally every single item in the entire game that gives you additional shots only gives them to you when you are not moving. Why? I don't know. It's fucking stupid. It's dumb. Anyway. A better student would open it. Anyway, here's an item which is, in theory, good. 15% slow on hit. Fun for 2 or more people, or 1 for those among you who lack friends. You know, 15% slow on hit is, you know, a thing. You know, handy in a pinch. But unfortunately, literally every status effect in the game, including slow, has absolutely zero effect whatsoever on bosses. Which is, you know, when it would be most useful. The bosses are really what's gonna fuck you over. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit, especially later in the later stages, but the bosses are where outside of a couple pushovers and a couple actually reasonable fights, are really what's going to lay on the bullshit. They are where it's most concentrated, is what I'm trying to say. Also, all of the other slow items are objectively better than this one, so fortunately they do stack, I think. I haven't like empirically tested it, but anyway. Garbavon's sense of fear. He had an oddly prescient concern that he would one day be distilled. Yeah. Also, Vexing Vial. It empowers juice boxes. It doesn't tell you what that does, but I'll tell you right now, it gives them +5 additional healing. They normally heal 20, this one makes them heal 25, or 30 or 35 or whatever, because you can get additional stacks of it. There's decent odds of this popping up in place of the box of chalk in the in any vending machine. Sadly, the affected juice burned through the table, floor, and a 5th form history seminar. I mean, well, technically I think this only shows up once, but there's like 12 different items which are exactly identical to it, except slightly different names, and I think different lore, but they're all the same. Anyway. Oops, shit. But yeah, this item turns your pathetically short-range attack into an even more pathetically short-range shotgun blast thing, which does more, which fires a bunch of things which do damage, I guess. Oh yeah, this boss can really screw you over. He's like does that whole thing which pushes you backward, can very easily wind up pushing you backward directly into one of those chalk clouds. But never mind. Oh yeah, and he does this whole annoying maze thing, which would be perfectly fine except for the fact that you can't see shit. So you can... Eh? Wait, where the... Oh, god damn it, I went the wrong way. Yeah. And also, if you fail, you have to do it all over again. If you fail to do it fast enough, you have to go through all of this over again. So, best hope you don't have any speed decreases, and also best hope that he doesn't just, you know, smack you in the face when you're right in front of him because you have 0 room to dodge because you're within a gnat's dick of him because that's the only place you can be to hit him, which is kind of a theme here. Yeah, you're starting to get what I'm saying about these bosses being cheese incarnate. Yeah, they can and will fuck you over at random. See, what was I supposed to do there? Die, that's what. Oh, and for the record, that was one of the least bullshit boss battles in the entire game. Just to let you know. God damn it. I'm 1 coin away from getting that dodge thing. Yeah, there's a small list of items which are actually worth your coins in this game, or your time, and the dodge items are generally one of them. Or, well, 3 of them. There's like 3 different... well, 4 different items. B. Boorish. Or perhaps we mean boring. Well, it doesn't matter. Anyway. Ah, yes. Here we've got the wound warts. The threatening drawings on the landing above look rather recent, as do the poorly spelled messages carved into the steps. Are those shards of bone scattered across the wood? No, surely not. Despite their reputation, we're sure that you'll find the Woundwart's gentle and generous house, provided that they don't hear, see, or smell you. Tappers. And here we've got 3 new, modifiers. Wealthy. The mechanical claw marks to your left suggest a skirmish with one of Edgeworth's egalitarian dispensary devices here. Survivors may have scooped up some tokens in the process. Yeah. Translation, there will be more coins here. I know that it causes enemies to drop more, and I think there's also going to be more around the level, but don't quote me on that. But there will be no shop. It's pretty neat, although because of how random the coins are in this game, it's entirely possible to get jack shit in terms of moolah from here. And I've actually gotten more coins from other floors without these. Anyway. Papery. It appears this floor suffers from inclement weather. The Edgeworth egalitarian dispensary device is thrilled. Yeah. This one, the shops have 1 additional slot. Hence why there was a blank slot in those previous shops. But there will be pages that go across the screen which hurt you if you hit them. That is, if you run into them, not if you shoot them. Weirdly enough, they also activate certain... there are these weird little cauldron things, which if you shoot them, they'll create this little... they'll create this big shockwave thing, which damages everyone in its range, including you. And of course, your default range is enough that you have to immediately run away from it as soon as you shoot at it, because you'll be within its range, but never mind. Weirdly enough, the paper things also trigger those for some reason. And that can be really annoying. But the hitboxes are weird. Actually, the hitboxes in this game are very weird. I'm surprised I haven't talked about that yet. Anyway, here's Hunted. There's a sign reading, "Don't worry, no poltergeist on this floor." The first 3 words appear freshly painted. Yeah, this one's kind of weird. This one's very weird, actually. The way it works is that while you're in a room with enemies, the random bits and bobs of, the props and such around the level will occasionally start flashing, and then after a few seconds of flashing, will explode into a projectiles that damage you. On the face of it, this seems like a purely negative modifier, but actually, weirdly enough, it will get you more money than the wealthy modifier. The reason for that is that for some fucking reason, possibly because the exploding things are like considered enemies or something, I don't know, but for some fucking reason, they will occasionally, and not even that rarely, leave behind coins when they explode. And there are a lot of little individual bits and bobs around the level that will explode individually. It's actually more beneficial for me to go here, oddly enough. Now, this is actually one of the worst sections of the game to get this. The later areas of the game have a lot of individual props, but never mind. So yeah, see? Flashing and exploding in projectiles, which obviously go through all obstacles, because otherwise... Well, otherwise you'd have... Eesh. Okay, they didn't drop any tokens here, but just you wait. Oh yeah. Now seems like a good time to talk about hitboxes. Hitboxes in this game are ass. Oh yeah, these also trigger these silicodron things. Yeah, see? Create those little shockwaves. Anyway. Now, part of the problem with the hitboxes is pretty easily understandable. Oh, I think that one left it. I think that one was from one of the jigs. Anyway. Part of the problem is perfectly understandable, although also really stupid. And that's simply the fact that enemies... You see? Their models are larger than their actual hitbox. Funny. Because as I mentioned, you know, the art direction of this is pretty cool, but the problem is that, well, that they didn't actually bother to think about having it actually match the hitboxes properly. Because, I mean, Binding of Isaac does this a lot better, and even it has its issues. I mean, even it has its issues, but at least the art is designed with the idea of making it be consistent. But this game, as mentioned before, was not designed. So that's an issue. But also, there's the simple fact that this game was, as mentioned, not designed, and that applies to its programming too. The actual code for this game is genuinely some of the worst I've seen in a game. In a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I could get into that you probably, that in the nitty-gritty of it, just like the way that the data is stored and everything is just, in a lot of ways, just fantastically bad. Like, there's a reason why this game has absolutely no cheat engine tables or anything for it. And that's not because of any kind of, like, real anti-cheat or anything. That's simply because the way it stores data is so utterly retarded that it's basically impossible to actually set up a decent cheat engine table for it. It's actually pretty fucking funny how that works. But also, this has other effects. But besides that kind of complex shit that I really couldn't properly explain in a video like this, there's also various things that you can actually really feel in game, and not just in your task manager when you realize that it's taking way more resources than it has any right to, for instance. And one of those is the fact that the hitboxes are not consistent. Don't let anyone tell you that they are. Don't let anyone try to gaslight you about that. They are not. I have empirically tested this and found a myriad of situations where a projectile shot from exactly the same angle into a non-moving target into the exact same part of the model twice will hit it once. Ugh. It's subtle, I will admit. Subtle enough to make you think that you're going mad instead of that the game is utterly retarded. But it is there. I can attest to that. And I have played a lot of this game. More than anyone ever should. I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, here's Shy Stella's diary. Heals 2% of life after every 5 enemies killed. We are pleased to announce that the diary will be reprinted and distributed as punishment. Oh yeah, and another fun little thing. You might not realize this, in fact you probably don't, but I am playing this game in a window. That's not because this game does not have a full screen mode. Oh no. This does have a full screen mode. It just, you know, doesn't fucking function on a basic level. And that's not to say it doesn't put the game into full screen. Oh no, it does that. And then it freezes the display, so that you're stuck unable to see shit besides that one frame. You know, as you do. As a matter of fact, the only reason why I know that this is how it works, rather than the game just being frozen entirely, is because OBS sees it just fine. I can record it, and it will look as if everything's normal. I have no fucking clue how that works, or rather doesn't, but, well, that's our darker purpose. Oh yeah, and everything that I mentioned about the hitbox issues applies both ways, obviously. Let me see if I can... Yeah, see? Goes right through her head and all that, as well as the inconsistencies. Anyway. Ah yes, the gangs of New Edgewood. Are they weaker, or are you stronger? What? Why is the O there capitalized? What? That's not a new sentence. There's no period. Whatever. Well, regretfully, you're still doomed. Doomed, doomed, doomed. Thanks for the vote of confidence, administrators. The Hasteland. Your cowardice has manifested physically. Anyway, no prizes for guessing which one we're going with. Anyway. Anyway, all of the on-use items, they reset their cooldown when you go into a new stage. I mean, not a new stage, a new room. That also applies to your roll. Although the cooldown is so fast that you wouldn't even notice. But, well, there's actually... Okay, remember I was talking about the lessons? Well, there's actually 2 lessons in the game that replace your roll with something actually useful. Ooh, plus 15% crit. Yeah, that's worth 10 damage. Definitely. Crit items are one of those, crit items are some of the best items in the game because they're some of the only direct damage upgrade items in the game. Because you can get, you know, plus 20 damage from a perk or whatever, but I don't think there are any items in the game that actually directly increase your damage. I might be wrong though, but yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh right, the lessons. There's 2 of them. One consumes 2 class schedules and one consumes 4. I forget what they're... I think the 2 class schedule thing is called Vanishing or something like that. Yeah, it the 2 class schedule one replaces your roll with a short range teleport in the direction that you're moving. That in theory is really fucking good. Because it's a teleport, it fires off instantaneously, so it's not like 5 to 10 business days like the chalk. It can either, you know, effectively dodge through projectiles simply by teleporting past them. And, you know, it still provides the benefit of being able to quickly escape from enemies that are faster than you, which is all of them. Well, more or less. So it sounds great, doesn't it? Yeah, it's fucking diabolical is what it is. What you might not realize is that it wants to kill you. Oh yeah, here's one of the little hidden rooms. That spectral guy, he shows you them if you follow him. And I only got a few coins from that, but you can but if you don't have all the lore documents, you can get lore from that. But I do. And also, occasionally, he'll be there to fight you as a mini-boss. They'll give you an item. Anyway, so yeah, back to it wanting to kill you. There are a great many issues with the teleport. First of all is the obvious. You can't decide how far you teleport. All you can do is decide the direction of your teleport based on what direction you were moving while you press the button. This could be a mild issue, but you can work around it just simply by knowing it. The problem is, yes, the teleport is very good when it wants to be. Because the teleport doesn't fucking work. Oh, well, sometimes it works, I admit. But half the time, literally like close to half the time that you press the button to teleport, jack shit will happen. Absolutely jack shit. You'll press the button, press spacebar while moving, it will do the little animation for the teleport, and nothing will happen. Absolutely nothing. You will not teleport. Now, sometimes it'll be nice about this and it will simply not go off at all and you won't have the cooldown, but usually it'll just go on cooldown and do nothing. And that's half the time under ideal circumstances, when you're just, you know, teleporting around in a flat area with nothing to block you. If you're trying to teleport through an obstacle, that increases to more like 75 or 90% of the time. It'll just do nothing. And the chances of it not going on cooldown reduce to near zero. So despite it being almost certainly just straight up better than the roll in every way, in every meaningful way, it will get you killed. It will get you killed a lot more than just having the roll. Especially since you're using up class schedules for this. I mean, it's only 2, that's not a huge amount, but that's like, I think the max is 10, and that's if you've gotten like fucking every achievement basically. So it's not nothing. Anyway, it appears that this was an easy floor. Next time, set it on fire. That's not an idle threat, by the way. There is a modifier that sets the floor on fire. Anyway, the other one is a lot better. It's called Being Scared, and it replaces your roll with a haste effect. And this causes you to, for a couple seconds, move and attack a lot faster. I think it's like twice as fast, something like that. I mean, the sudden burst of speed can get you killed at times. It's easily the best. It's basically rolling, but better, because it boosts your speed, just like rolling does. Except it also allows you to attack, and attack twice as fast, or something like that, while doing so, and doesn't look nearly as silly. The downside is that it's got like a 5-second cooldown or something like that. Well, I think it's like 3 seconds, but I don't think it counts down while you for the 2 seconds that you have it. But still, it's easily worth it. easy to afford is the 4 class schedules, as well as it being locked behind a rather difficult achievement. I forget what it's locked behind by, but it was difficult. On the plus side, however, it also just casually increases your movement speed and critical chance by 10% just by having it, so that's pretty fucking nice as well. But yeah, it's expensive and has a much longer cooldown, but it's still easily one of, if not the best lesson in the entire game. That's how good it is, and that's how terrible rolling is. Even though literally every single roll replacement has 0 synergy with every item that affects rolling. Yeah, like anything that does something while you're rolling, or like, for instance, the thing which increases your dodge chance while you're rolling to the max, or the thing which causes you to create fire around you while you're rolling, or the thing which makes it that every time you roll, your next attack will be buffed. All of those do absolutely nothing if you have being scared or vanishing, but it's still easily worth it because rolling is just that bad. Anyway, here's the Woundwort Forest. The staircase ahead leads to a dormitory floor. Edgewood is a home as well as a school. While the accommodations may seem Spartan, each student has abundant space to rest and socialize. Much ado has been made about furniture rearranging itself in the night, thumps and hisses emanating from closets, spectral hands creeping across the floor, and so on. Such stories are a testament to the charming, though somewhat derivative, imaginations of our students. A pair of huge feet has left deep indentations in the step, and you note that someone has casually ripped the stone banister from its moorings. There is little doubt which classmate lives on this floor. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, and here's these bozos. Easily one of the biggest offenders when it comes to inconsistent hitboxes, where sometimes you can hit them right in the head and it'll be fine. Sometimes anything above like around the shoulder area will do jack shit. Ah, fuck. Speaking of hitboxes, these fucking... Did you see that? That went right through his arm, I think. Yeah, that went right through his arm. Holy shit. Oh yeah, speaking of hitboxes, these little, thingamajigs on the sides. They've got, they've got very peculiar hitboxes. Sometimes they are weirdly accurate to the model, and sometimes not. Huh, 2 mini-bosses. I know there's a, oh shit. I know there's a modifier that can give you an additional mini-boss at the cost of increasing costs at the vending machine. And there's also a lesson that can give you a chance. There's also a lesson and an item which can give you a chance of an extra one. I don't know why I got an extra one here. Anyway, Edgewood Hall Pass, one of the best items in the game. 100% dodge on first attack every room. The Hall Pass is available to anyone willing to pick it up. Yeah. And that is actually 100% dodge, not the 75% maximum that it supposedly has. I have not been finding any coins. This is ridiculous. Here's Cookies of Discipline. Level up instantly on the next floor. Students who do not return their cookie at desk will be deemed immoral. Merit bracelet. Oh yeah, that's a type of, that's a specific class of item, the merit items. They give you some useful benefit, but only if you complete a challenge first. This one is easily the hardest of them. You have to get 6 kills in a row without missing a single shot, which, in a game as inconsistent as this, with attacks as piddly as these, is pretty fucking difficult. The bracelets are permitted if at least one student per class is excluded. Headless headlamp. All enemies become light sources. Not as useful as it sounds. If you're reading this, a student on tunnel duty is crying somewhere. In the dark. Oh yeah, I forgot about these little blurbs for the juice boxes in chalk. The next child who says that we use juice boxes manipulatively will not receive a juice box. Harmless, wonderful chalk. When literally the first line says, harm enemies. Yeah. Subtle. Anyway, so all of the merit items give you pretty powerful buffs, but they're also strictly worse versions of items that give exactly the same buff, but without the merit requirement. So, that's a thing. I don't know. Like I said before, this game was not designed. Balance was not a concern to some design committee that doesn't exist. This game was simply birthed into existence one day, and no one knows how. Oh yeah, here's these fucking annoying enemies. They throw that little ball thing. Now, they have a couple. That ball can take a couple different trajectories. Depending on their whims, basically. What the heck happened to that? That was weird. I think it interacted with a wall for a brief second. Anyway. Yeah. Random thing based on their whim. And the really funny thing is that that there is 0 actual, what's the term? Indication. That's a good enough word. As to what trajectory they will go on until they're already like halfway through it. So that makes them really fucking fun to dodge at short range, which you will be at because you have short range. Anyway. Now, oh, whatever. I'll just go for it. Oh, this fucking item. Also, they have some of the least consistent hitboxes of any character. Anyway, Fedora of Crisis. This item is near useless, which is a shame because it used to be really fucking good. Okay, see, when this game first came out, the Fedora of Crisis was one of the best items in the game. What it did was, when you were below 25% HP, it reduced damage taken by 75%. This was, as you can probably imagine, really fucking good. Because it essentially meant that at 25% HP, you'd have as much effective HP as you have at 100 HP normally. Which doesn't quite double your HP, but still that's like 75%. And that scales with any HP increase, or, say, resistances and such, and made all of the other effects, which only take effect when you're below like 25% HP, which are, at the moment, god-awful to a 1, actually usable. And you could, in fact, potentially have a whole build around keeping yourself at as close to 25% as you could, without going over. However, they decided that, okay, this item actually being good was a bit much. So, they made it completely useless. Now it reduces damage by 25%. That seems bad on the face of it, but it gets worse if you actually think about the math involved. Because obviously percentage reductions work a lot differently than percentage increases. Because let's say you have 100 health. The original thing will increase your effective health by 75. With potentially a lot more if you keep yourself below that threshold. Which you could effectively do because even though normally being below that threshold would mean you die to like a harsh wind, this actually gives you the staying power to actually stay there. Might put you on the unfortunate end of some rounding issues, but still. So that's good. But okay, reduce it down to 25%. Now, what do you have? Well, instead of having an additional 75 effective health, you now have an additional, drumroll please, 8.333 repeating health. Yeah. So it does jack shit for your durability. Absolutely jack shit. And that's simply because when they reduced it from 75% to 25%, they reduced it to 1/9 of its effectiveness. 1/9. So they saw that this item was perhaps a bit overtuned, and in that it actually allowed you to make a strategy based around it in an interesting way that shook up the gameplay and wasn't just the same fucking shit every single playthrough like it is now. And they decided, oh, we need to nerf that. And then they decided to basically eliminate its entire effect. And the worst part is, this solution was so obvious to nerf it without making it utterly useless. Just reduce it to 50%. That would be a factor of 3. That would make it still useful and still plausible to work around, especially if you have more than 100 max health, and requiring you to actually put yourself in genuine danger to make the most out of it. But no. They decided to make it a completely dead item under 99% of circumstances. Because fuck you. And as a knock-on effect, every other below 25% item or perk is now equally useless, because without that measure of safety, it's basically never going to be useful. They took an actually interesting and unique strategy based around creative use of some of the actually unique items and effects in the game, and they decided, no, this doesn't get to exist. And now everyone is basically just the same grab bag of generic items, and well, I mean, it kind of was already, but now it's even more so. That's this game's balance in a nutshell. Well, no. That's one part of the cancer that is this game's balance in a nutshell. There is so much more aids to all of this than just that. Anyway, here's the boss. For some reason that I've never been able to figure out, these projectiles, which go through enemies normally, don't go through these buildings. I don't know what's the deal with that. It's not like it's a game-changing effect or anything. It's not, I'm not certain I could get it. But it is annoying. Ah, fuck. Oh, that's another thing that's annoying. The, roll thing. It affects her model, but it doesn't affect her actual hitbox at all. So that's another bit of weird silliness. Anyway, I'm doing terrible today. I mean, I'm not using my lessons and everything, but even then. Well, that's just the screen. That's just the YouTuber's curse, you know? Or streamer's curse, or whatever you want to call it. I guess this is a stream, even if it isn't a live stream, but whatever. I'm morally opposed to live streaming, so I'm never gonna do that. Huh? What was that about? Hang on, do I? Oh, right, this one. Juice boxes now slow down time temporarily. This is not the first time the faculty lounge has been burgled, but it will be the last. Hat privileges are restricted in all but the most exceptional circumstances. Yeah. That used to mean something, but now, who cares? Now, funny thing about the hitboxes, you know, Binding of Isaac has a whole thing where, while their hitboxes can sometimes be weird, you can tell, at least roughly, based off of the shadows of the projectiles and the enemies, whether they're going to hit each other. Well, this game has shadows for the... This game has little shadow things for a lot of this stuff. But I think but that's another case of where this game was just, like, not designed at all. Because the shadows serve absolutely no purpose. They don't help guide anything. They were just added for the sake of it, I guess. Some would argue that this is some would argue that this is a hint that, some would argue that this is more evidence that this is that this was designed as a cheap copy of, you know, Binding of Isaac. I would argue that point, because I don't believe that this game was designed. Call of the Wild Furniture. A better child would treat their home with more respect. To kill a rocking chair. Vandalizing or destroying Edward property carries severe penalties. Oddly, related. Anyway, 20% more damage against bosses and 10% attack speed is probably more valuable than 20 damage. Maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Probably. It'll scale better anyway. If I get more tokens, which I might never. Okay, C. Allowing it to continue would be cruel. Oh yeah, the first time you beat this boss is this whole bit of lore Actually, hang on. Yeah, there's a whole thing where you can, between levels, you can hit escape to save progress and exit. I've never actually done that. I've never tried that because I don't trust the coding of this game at all to actually work properly. But let's try it now, since it doesn't really matter. Anyway. Where was it? The rise and fall of Queen Cordy. The cowering Woundwarts emerged from the remains of their fortress to see Cordy standing over their former leader. They threw down their globes and chairs and erasers to see what the terrible girl would do next. Cordy's face flickered, from expression to expression. Then it reformed into a smile no one could remember seeing on her before. She turned to them and spoke, and her voice was jagged and deep, and when she was done, the Woundworts picked up their weapons and swore to be twice as mean and wild as before. The new queen's reign was more gruesome than the old queen's, until she in turn was killed by a quiet girl no one had ever paid much attention. So it went with Woundworts, and so it has always gone. Still, some of the more thoughtful ones grunted later that they'd seen something in her face for that second. A coin flipping over and over in the air, the hint of a memory, the promise that next time it could always be different. And next time it was indeed, because the first time you defeat each of these chapter-ending bosses, your run ends with this little lore document. And each time you start again, the thing at the beginning, the awakening, and all that, changes. For chapter 2, it's A Tale Revised. A girl named Cordy awoke under a broken bookcase, confused and scared, having barely survived Goneril and Regan's attack in Mr. L's classroom. Every time a Cordy awoke under the bookcase, of course, the school was different. Indeed. The Edgewood Home for Lost Children is an uncertain place, and the hallways reorganize themselves in a variety of patterns. Strange things still danced on the chalkboards, and sloshed in pots of stew, and somewhere Goneril still paced impatiently on an upper floor. This time, however, new creatures awaited her in the darkness. Cordy recalled only the classroom. Memories can be reset, if not destroyed. Certain teachings, however, remain. Indeed. Now that is peculiar. Every time a Cordy awoke into the bookcase, memories resetting, teachings remaining. Now that is peculiar, certainly. And there's certainly other very interesting bits of lore that you piece together throughout this. I haven't even mentioned the most important character in this whole game who doesn't exist. But this video has gone on more than long enough. Bloody hell. Is that how long I've been recording? Normally I can finish an entire run in like an hour or so. Well, I guess I have been pontificating on quite a lot, haven't I? That does explain why I'm so exhausted already after only one chapter. Then again, this game is exhausting to play at the best of times. But I will leave off on pontificating about the fascinating subtleties of the lore of this game and how it unfolds, and also how much this game fucking sucks. Until next time. I'm sure this video will only get like 1.5 views, but I don't care. People need to know about this game. People need to know. I must inflict it upon them. This game, abandoned by its creators, full of dead items, and it itself dead, and gratefully so. This game deserved to die. This game deserved to have no legacy at all. But it does deserve to be remembered in all its glory and all its horror. This has been our darker purpose. Seriously, fuck this game, and fuck you for watching.